Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to discover all of the program activities that you will see on your PgMP exam. That is the program management exam from PMI. Now, the first thing you need to know is that all of the work performed by the program team for the purpose of achieving the overall program management are collectively called the program activities. Essentially, this is everything that you will need to do to complete the program. And these activities are going to be divided into these 10 different groups. Now, if you take a quick scan of this slide right here, you will notice that a lot of the names are very similar to the 10 knowledge areas that we saw from the project management side, and this is correct. However, the extent and complexity to which that you perform these activities in program management is going to vary. So it's going to be a lot more complex. It's going to be a lot more involved when you're doing these activities for program management versus project management. Now let's dive into what these activities are now. So I know this chart can seem intimidating, but we are going to break this down row by row. So the first thing I want you to know here is that each row represents one activity group. So for example, the first row is change management, the second one is communications management, and so on, so on. The items in each of the cells are the activities. And the activity group or focus area has not been included as a column, as the activity names are self-explanatory, and you should be familiar with these various areas as part of your project and program management experience. All right, now let's dive into each of the 10 areas that we have just talked about. So the first one was the program change management. So program change management is all about how do you manage changes that happen to a subsidiary program or a project or a component of your program. And if one of those changes happen, how does that affect the rest of the program? Program change assessment happens during the program formulation phase, and it identifies the potential sources of change, the impact and probability of the change expected from these sources, and a plan on how to deal with these changes appropriately. It also creates the program change management plan. That is the outcome here. During the program planning subphase, the program change management activity happens and it produces the program change management plan and the program change threshold. This program change management plan is one of the components of the overall program management plan, and this document establishes the program change management principles and procedures. It includes how to capture changes, analyze them, seek approvals, and communicate their status to the requesting and impacted stakeholders. Next, we move on to the program delivery phase. During this phase, the program change monitoring and controlling activities happen, and this produces the approved change request and updates to the program change log. Here is a look at the program change management flow. Feel free to pause this video to have a closer look. We will identify the change, analyze it, and then plan out what we're going to do with that change, make sure that we add it to the program change log, and seek approval before we actually implement this change. Now next, let's take a look at our second group, and this is communications management. So the communications management activity group comprises of the activities necessary for the timely and appropriate generation, collection, distribution, storage, retrieval, and ultimate disposal of program information. During the program formulation subphase, we have the program communication assessment activity. And what this activity produces is our program communication assessment. This is one of the inputs to the stakeholder engagement planning and the program communication management plan. During the program planning subphase, we have the program communication management planning activity, and this produces the program communication management plan as well as communication requirements, which is one of the inputs to the stakeholder register. The communication management plan is also a subsidiary plan to the overall program management plan. It describes how, when, and by whom information will be created and disseminated. Any communication requirements specific to a particular stakeholder goes into the stakeholder register and gets used as a part of the stakeholder engagement related activities. Now, moving on to the delivery phase, we have the program communication management activity, and this will contain two sub activities: program information distribution and program reporting. The program information distribution sends information to different stakeholders using different media like face-to-face, emails, video, social, etc., based on their preference that would be captured in the stakeholder register. The program reporting is the activity to consolidating performance and reporting related data to provide stakeholders with information on how resources are being used by the program to deliver the benefits. Program financial management comprises of all of the activities that are related to identifying the program's financial sources and resources, integrating the budget of the program components, developing the overall budget for the program, and controlling the cost during the program's life cycle. Now let's take a closer look here, starting with the program formulation. So during the program formulation subphase, we have the program initial cost estimation activity that results in the program's initial cost estimates. The figures in the initial cost estimates are often very high level. We call this a ballpark, and this is based on limited information, time, and resources available. As the program progresses and more detail is known, we will have more accurate and detailed budgets prepared. During the program planning subphase, there are three activities: program cost estimation, program financial framework establishment, and program financial management planning. The program cost estimation activity will result in the program cost estimates, the assumptions that went behind those estimates, and guidelines for cost estimation for each of the program's components. Also, the program's financial framework is a high-level initial plan for coordinating the available funding, determining constraints, and determining how that funding will be allocated to various program-related activities. During the program delivery phase, we have the program financial management activity as well as two sub-activities, namely the program cost budgeting and component cost estimation. The component cost estimation activity results in the cost estimates for the program's various components. The program cost budgeting activity is where the program's cost budget gets created, and the program team will update the program budget baseline, create the program payout schedule, as well as the payment schedule for the program's components. During the program closure phase, we have the program financial closure activity where the program finances are officially closed. This activity will produce some of the following outputs, including inputs to the program final reports, update to the program financial management plan, as well as closed program budgets. A program's life cycle is complete once the budget are developed, benefits are delivered, and sustained. Also, as part of the program's completion, the program budget is closed and the final financial report is communicated to all of the key stakeholders. Our next group is program information management, and this comprises of activities that are used to collect, receive, organize, and store program documents and other information. So let's take a look at all of the activities here, starting with the program formulation subphase. So the program information assessment activities that happen here will result in the initial assessment of the program information assets. This program information management assessment will be used as input to prepare the program business case, charter, and program information management plan. During the program planning subphase, we have the program information management planning activity, and this will produce the program information management plan and the tools and templates that will be used for information management. The program information management plan will be a component of the overall program management plan. It will describe how the program information assets will be prepared, collected, organized, and secured. It also contains information management policies, distribution list tools, templates, and also reporting formats that will be used during the course of the program. Next, we move on to the program delivery phase. Now we have the program information management activity, which will produce program information repository updates and inputs to information distribution and program reporting. This information management also has a major sub-activity, which is the lessons learned, which will produce the lessons learned report as well as inputs and updates to the stakeholder register, risk register, communication management plan, and the overall program management plan. Lastly, we move on to program closure phase. We have the program information archiving and transition activities. This will produce inputs to the organizational archive and the lessons learned report. At this stage of the program, the information management includes providing the receiving organization with support, and this will include documentation, training, manuals, etc. We will also support them with the ongoing sustainment of the program benefits. Now let's move on to our fifth group, which is program procurement management. This is all about acquiring goods and services from third parties in order to accomplish the objectives of your program. Let's take a closer look now. So we start off with program formulation. So this is when we are deciding whether or not we even need procurement on our program. Do we need to get goods and services from third parties in order to achieve our objectives? So during the formulation subphase, we are doing an assessment to assess what kind of procurement, if any, needs to be done by the program. And if we do determine that we do need some procurement, then we plan out how are we going to get the things that we need. This is what we're doing in planning. And then we actually go out and we actually do the procurement here. So we are formulating our request for proposal. So we're inviting the vendors to bid for our project. We are evaluating them and signing the final contract. Also, we are also monitoring their performance and giving them feedback. And once all of the work is done, then we close out the contract, we give them a final report, we document any lessons learned, and we give notification to the vendor that this contract has ended. Our sixth group is program quality management. Program quality management related activities determine the quality policies, objectives, and responsibilities so that the program will be successful and produce the outputs that will be satisfactory to the receiving organization or customer. Let's take a closer look at the activities in this group, starting with the program formulation subphase. So the program quality assessment activity happens, which will produce the initial quality assessment for the program. This assessment gets used as input to the program business case, charter, as well as the quality management plan. During the program planning subphase, the program quality management planning activity happens, and this will produce the program quality management plan that will describe how the organization quality policies will be implemented. The plan will include some of the following: the program quality policies, standards, cost estimates, quality metrics, quality checklist, quality control specifications, quality assurance specifications, etc. This plan is a subsidiary of the overall program management plan. During the program delivery phase, the program quality assurance and control activity will be executed, and this will result in the quality assurance findings as well as quality assurance change requests. Program resource management. The key purpose of the activities in this resource management group is to ensure that all required resources are available to the program team and the component managers when it comes to delivery. So basically, you are ensuring that there's enough people, funds, equipment available in order to complete the program. Now let's take a look at each of the subphase, starting with the program formulation subphase. So the program resource requirement estimation activity happens, and this will result in the initial program resource requirement estimations. These estimates are an input to the program business case as well as the program charter. Next, we move on to the program planning subphase. So the program resource management planning happens, and this will result in the program resource requirement as well as the resource management plan itself. So the resource management plan, just like the other plans that we have covered, is a component of the overall program management plan. And this plan will forecast the expected levels of resource that's going to be used across program components. Next, we move on to the program delivery phase. The program resource management activity happens, and this will result in the program resource prioritization and decisions, as well as updates to the program resource management plan. This activity also has a major sub-activity called resource interdependency management, which results in resource management plan updates. During the program closure phase, the program resource transition activities will happen, and this will result in the program resources getting reassigned to other teams within the organization. Next, we move on to our next group, which is program risk management. The activities in this group are related to actively identifying, analyzing, monitoring, accepting, mitigating, avoiding, and closing out all program risk. So a risk is an uncertain event that may or may not happen in the future. Let's take a look now. So during the program formulation subphase, the program initial risk assessment activity happens, and this will result in the initial risk assessment of the program. This initial risk assessment is an input to the business case charter, the initial cost estimates, the roadmap, as well as the risk management plan. During the program planning subphase, the program risk management activity will happen, and this will result in the program risk management plan and the first version of the program risk register. So the risk management plan is a subcomponent of the overall program management plan. It will describe how various risk management activities within the program will be structured and executed. The risk register is a document that documents all of the identified program risk, the result of the analysis, the potential responses, its current status, etc. So based on the risk appetite of your major stakeholders, you will determine how you will manage risk on your project. During the program delivery subphase, we have the program risk monitoring and controlling activities. It also includes three major sub-activities. One, the program risk identification. Two, program risk analysis. And three, program risk response management. So what's happening here is you're identifying all of your risk, and you're doing this repeatedly as new risk may be added to your risk register. So you want to do this on a regular basis. Then you want to analyze them. So you want to see how much threat is going to be presented to your project and what's the probability of this risk actually happening. Then you come up with an appropriate plan to resolve that risk in case it does happen. Lastly, we move on to the program closure phase. The program risk transition activities happen, and this will result in the organizational risk register, and this will give the receiving organization a chance to address any residual risk remaining. So basically, you're closing out your project, you're documenting everything, and if there's any remaining risk, you are letting the receiving organization know about it, and they can manage it accordingly. Our ninth group is program schedule management. So the activities in the program schedule management group will determine the order or sequence and timing of the various components that would get executed in order to produce the program benefits, estimate the amount of time required to accomplish each of these components, the interdependencies between these components, identify significant milestones during the program, as well as documenting the outcome of each of these milestones. Essentially, you're figuring out when different activities are happening on your program. Now let's take a closer look by diving into our program formulation subphase. So during this subphase, the program schedule assessment activity will happen, and what will result from that is our initial schedule assessment for the program. This will be used as an input to the business case, charter, roadmap, etc. During the program planning subphase, the program schedule management planning activity will happen, and this will create your program's overall schedule management plan, the program's master schedule, and updates to both the risk register and the program roadmap. The schedule management plan is a component of the overall program management plan, and it establishes the criteria and activities for developing and monitoring controlling the program schedule. The program's master schedule documents and displays the agreed sequence of components from initiation to completion. This is to facilitate the proper planning of the individual component deliveries and their corresponding benefits. Now moving on to the program delivery phase. The program schedule monitoring and controlling activity happens. This will result in the program master schedule. So when do certain activities start and when do they finish? Also, this will also include updates to the risk register, program roadmap, as well as the benefit management plan. So this will also include the status of the achieved benefits and when they were planned to be achieved. Now moving on to our final grouping, and this is program scope management. This activity group will include the various activities that will help define, develop, monitor, and control and verify the program's scope. Now, during the formulation subphase, as with all the other activity groups, we have the program schedule assessment activity, and this will create the initial scope assessment for the program. This initial assessment is an input to the program charter as well as a program scope management plan. Now let us move on to program planning subphase. And during this subphase, the program scope management planning activity will happen. And this will create three major documents: the program scope statement, the program scope management plan, as well as the program work breakdown structure. The program scope management plan is a component of the overall program management plan, and it describes how the scope will be defined, developed, monitored, and controlled in the program. The WBS, or the work breakdown structure, is the deliverable-oriented hierarchical decomposition of the program scope, and it highlights the key deliverables produced by each of the program components. During the delivery phase, the program scope monitoring controlling is the only activity that happens, and it creates updates to the program scope statement, the program management plan, and the WBS as well. Similar to a lot of the other groups, there's no closing activity for the scope management plan. But let's do a summary of what we learned so far before we end this video. So program activities are similar to project management knowledge areas and focuses on various aspects of the program, such as scope or schedule, cost or quality, etc. So we see a lot of similarities from the PMBOK here. Each activity group contains one or more activities that are executed during various stages of the program lifecycle. These activities will overlap or overlay with any other activity that may be under execution as part of the performance domain, like program governance or benefits management. The program will have a WBS or work breakdown structure that will include all of the major tasks and activities to be done at the program level, as well as high-level information about the components that are part of the program. The level of detail in the WBS may vary from organization to organization, and the program manager uses his expert judgment to decide the level of granularity and detail in the WBS. Lastly, the program manager will allow the component managers to take care of the day-to-day activities and execution of their respective projects while maintaining oversight to ensure that they are on track and only interfere when there is a problem. So essentially, the role of the program manager is to oversee all of the project managers and to make sure all of the projects in the program are being coordinated in order to deliver the benefits of the program. So thank you for joining me for this video. I hope you learned a lot about all of the program activities that are going to be covered in the PgMP exam. Make sure you subscribe for more videos like this one. Thank you so much.